Okay, we do appreciate your taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. Hey, did you know that Heli Expo is coming up next week? And one of the things that not everybody knows about during the show is the HAI working groups. These are groups of volunteers, of men and women who come together and share their knowledge and expertise to help our industry get better. And at every Heli Expo, we have working group meetings, and these are open to the attendees, to anybody who wants to come in and join. We have 11 different working groups and 2 sub-working groups, and they just do some amazing work. And so we wanted to hear what they have lined up for the show. Unfortunately, our industry being what it is, not everybody's able to attend today. So let me go ahead and go through our introductions for who will be with us today. Start out with, we have Jim Viola, the president and CEO of HAI. We have Cary Berg with Sanford Health Air Medical Rotary Wing, and he is the chair of the Air Medical Services Working Group. We have Chuck Street, Los Angeles Area Helicopter Operators Association, and he's the vice chair of the Fly Neighborly and Environmental Operations Working Group. We have David Knowles, Helicopter Transport Services. He's the chair of the Restricted Category and Experimental Working Group. Dave Zura, Colorado Heliops, and he's the chair, oops, I missed a typo there. He's the chair of the Safety Working Group. Now that's obviously a very important one for us, and my bad on the typo. Michael Broderick with Rotordock LLC. He's the chair of the Technical and Maintenance Working Group. We have Terry Palmer, Pilot Landing LLC, and she's the chair of the Training Working Group. And we have Ron Stewart with Wilson Construction in Canby, Oregon, chair of the Utilities, Patrol, and Construction Working Group. Scott, I don't think did join us today. My bad there. This webinar is interactive. We do encourage you to ask questions, particularly since we have so many subject matter experts on the web today or on the webinar today. Please use the question module at the bottom of the screen to ask your questions. We try to pay attention to the chat module, but it doesn't always happen for us. These webinars are being recorded. Feel free to watch it again. We'll try to get these posted tomorrow. Feel free to share it with somebody you think might be interested in joining us. With that, I'd like to introduce Jim Viola, the president and CEO of HAI.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Let me start today by saying thanks to the staff here at HAI for all the work we're doing as we're prepping to get the Heli Expo to see everybody. And not only, is it about producing the largest helicopter trade show in the world, but we also try to help our members solve the individual problems and the different problems that everybody has. And so the team is always ready to step up and deliver on some of those. But as good as the team is here that we try to keep ready for our members, there are also a lot of other issues in the industry that are too big or too technical for the staff to handle. And of course, the staff, once you get hired on as a staff and you stop being in the field, you slowly erode those great skills. And so in response to some of that, the board of directors has developed a series of working groups that evaluate current problems that are going on throughout the industry and the issues that affect your community or in total, the international helicopter community around the world. So part of HAI's mission is to address those problems and the issues that affect its members. And I mean, that's a vital function of any association, is to try to make sure we're doing what our members need. So much of this effort is conducted through HAI's 11 working groups, as Dan mentioned, and they are staffed and led by HAI members, volunteers that volunteer their time for the working groups to meet several times a year to contribute the current industry expertise towards topics such as safety, training, and then other working groups that you'll see on here today with very specific industry sectors such as aerial firefighting or helicopter tours. So the board of directors, at its discretion, can call on the formation of new working groups to address specific industry topics. And I'll tell you, one of the newer ones is the insurance one. We know that insurance is an issue for all, so we're trying to make sure that we can figure out what we can do, how can we help members there. So the working group proposals and then the activities are reviewed by HAI board of directors, which then further take action with the other working groups and the HAI staff. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this system and the volunteers that are on here even today for you. We know that there are concerns for every segment of our industry, and then who is best prepared to tackle those issues than the people directly affected on them. As I tell people, we're here to try to help and we can see what's going on, but the people who are watching this today, you feel the pain. And the way to help that is to work with these working groups so that we can solve those issues. The women and men who make up these working groups are great examples of the best our industry has to offer. They're among the most knowledgeable, most experienced people in the industry, and they are willing to share their time to help improve our industry, your industry. So I offer my deepest appreciation to everyone serving on these working groups. And each working group meets during the year as needed, but also traditionally once a year in person at Heli Expo. And we are so happy to have this Heli Expo coming this year, just 2 weeks away in Dallas. So today we've asked the chairs or vice chairs of the working groups on this webinar to share what they've been working on and what they plan on addressing during an upcoming meeting in Dallas, because those meetings in Dallas are open. So one final thought before we get started. There is almost always room for more people in these working groups, especially if you're in one of the segments and you're having a particular problem that you want to bring forward anywhere around the world. Please consider sharing your knowledge and expertise to improve our overall industry. So Dan, back to you and back to these experts.
Thank you, Jim. I do appreciate that. Tried to figure out which way to make things work, which order to go. And so we decided to go in alphabetical order with the name of the working group. So I'd like to introduce Cary Berg, who is the chair of the Air Medical Services Working Group. Cary, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. And Jim, thanks for all of those wonderful words to start with. I don't know how much of an expert I am, but certainly willing to step up to the plate. I'm the chairman of the Air Medical Services Working Group, and we have been meeting quarterly. Pretty excited about being able to meet in person at Heli Expo in Dallas this year. So really looking forward to that. Typically our meetings in the last year and a half or so have been Zoom meetings. And having said that, we've been able to get a lot of things done. Our meeting in Dallas is going to be on Tuesday, March 8th in meeting rooms D163 and D165. So I would invite anyone that one is either interested in joining the working group or just simply wants to attend and see what's going on and potentially even participate, would want to send out that invitation. As far as some of the things that we've been working on with the Air Medical Services, as you all know, 5G has kind of been a big deal here in the last several months to 6 months, with the FAA getting pretty involved late fall, early winter. And so we've been addressing that. HAI has had applied for the exemption, and they did it for the entire industry, for the entire helicopter industry. So we were able to get that through, and operators, Part 135 operators can apply for that exemption, which I believe a lot have. There are also some things in the works as far as alternate means of compliance that that the industry may be looking at, probably more primarily with the airline industry than helicopters. And just looking at the continued development of the C-band with 5G and how close it's going to be getting to the radar altimeters. So that's been a pretty big focus for us. The other thing that's happened, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, is the PREA has been modified so that everything's online now. So we've been addressing that and actually had some presentations from the FAA on how that implementation is going and how we're going to need as an industry to comply with those things online, as opposed to the historical sending out through the snail mail. And then finally, our working group has been looking at inadvertent IMC encounters and putting together, for the most part, a best practices document that as we share amongst the members, coming up with a document that shows the best practices for inadvertent IMC encounters and trying to make sure that we don't have inadvertent IMC encounters. I think, Dan, that's probably about it. We have about 20, a little over 20 members on the working group, and would certainly encourage the people that are members of our working group, or certainly members of our industry, the HAA air ambulance community, but we also have liaisons with USHST, CAMES, NEMSPA. Let's see, who else do I have here? AMOA, ACCT, AIMS. So if you're interested in coming to the meeting, or even interested in joining, would look forward to having you reach out.
Okay, appreciate that, Cary. You were saying that was March 8th from 1 to 3 in D 163, 165. The D hall is on the far south end of the building, and it's the 100 series rooms are always downstairs from the main exhibit floor. So if anybody gets lost, there should be maps around, and look for a program guide. That will also have all the schedules. We will have a new app coming out next week. I should have mentioned that. That is a great way to help find people around. Cary, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll look forward to seeing if there's any questions during the Q&A that we might bring back to you. Thanks so much.
Very good.
I'd now like to introduce Chuck Street from the Los Angeles Helicopter Tour, or excuse me, LA Helicopter Operators and Pilots Association. Chuck, how are you today?
Great, fabulous. A beautiful day here in Los Angeles, although uncharacteristically cold. I think our low last night was 39 degrees, and we're really upset about that.
Yeah, I think we traded weather. I think we've got the cold and dreary here. So yeah, you're still winning, I guess.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to share information about the Fly Neighborly / Environment group. We have some really, really talented members of our group. Very, very smart people. Most of them experts in the field of acoustics. And I've learned a lot, I'll tell you, I've learned a lot. But let me give you an update kind of about what we're doing and maybe more specifically about our plans for Heli Expo. First of all, we're holding 3 different Fly Neighborly classes to give attendees an idea about how they can reduce the impact of their the noise they generate with their aircraft on the neighborhoods they fly over. We'll have a seminar on flying neighborly to reduce noise in the Robinson R44, the R66, and the Bell 205. We'll have another seminar about how you can successfully fly neighborly to reduce noise in the AW139 and the S76D. And also a fly neighborly seminar, how to maintain positive community relations. And I've certainly been involved in that for the last 9.5 years here in Los Angeles. We're going to have a Fly Neighborly booth at Heli Expo. We'll look forward to passing out useful information that can be utilized by pilots who are operating around the world. We've learned a lot over the last few years, and especially we've benefited from the expertise and experience of the people on our working group. At our working group meeting, we will be reviewing progress and discussing our SMART goal initiatives. And I think that's been a great directive from the leadership of HAI, is to have SMART goals so that we can know where we're going and we can provide hopefully helpful information that will benefit everybody. We're going to bring new helicopter acoustics research and findings into the voluntary Fly Neighborly training program and promulgate Fly Neighborly adoption by helicopter operators. We'll develop an extension of previous HAI guidance on rotorcraft noise exposure in communities to encompass new urban air mobility operations, UAM, focusing on change in the community noise environment. Looking forward, we will be brainstorming on some potential new initiatives, including broaden our engagement with the eVTOL industry and work with them to develop Fly Neighborly concept of operations for the full spectrum of future vertical flight operations. That I'd never heard that acronym until a few days ago. Of course, it's provided by some of the scientists in our group, concept of operations, CONOPS. So I definitely learned something there. We're going to build on the success of the revamped Fly Neighborly guidance with outreach to the flight training and simulation industry. We hope to pursue opportunities to connect flight training providers with technical experts to promote new noise abatement training opportunities. And of course, during our meeting at Heli Expo, there will be elections for the new Fly Neighborly Working Group leadership positions. So that's pretty much all I have to report from our working group. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this information.
Thank you, Chuck. Hey, we know that the Fly Neighborly practices are beneficial across the nation and around the world. And so we're grateful that you're working on these issues all the time. Look forward to having you come back on during the Q&A session for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to have David Knowles from Helicopter Transport Services join me. He is the chair of the restricted category and experimental working group. David, thanks for joining us today. How is everything out in Aurora, Oregon?
It is a very beautiful day. We had, like the gentleman from Los Angeles was saying, it's a little bit cooler right now. We had a little bit of snow flurries this morning, but it wasn't too bad, and it's a beautiful day.
Okay, well, I'll let you just take it away then, if you'd like.
So I just wanted to follow up on the kind words and that were said about the working groups and how excited we are moving forward to finally get to meet in person at HAI. We did get to meet in Boise in November of 2021, but this will be on a much better platform. So I just wanted to talk a little bit, just to start off with, I've been working around restricted category or working with restricted category starting in 2003, and it went much deeper in 2009. My background is maintenance, and we have 4 TCs and over 20 STCs, and our primary helicopters are the CH-54s. They're older, but with all of the STCs, it really makes a big difference in improved reliability and longevity of the CH-54 series platform. So that's kind of my background, but we wanted to talk about, we've been working on a white paper draft for the last year and a half, which has just been submitted to the board, and it's going to be under review, and we hope that will eventually make its way to the FAA. With that said, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been working on as far as that paper is concerned. So when we talk about military surplus rotorcraft, most people probably think of the UH-1 Huey is the most recognizable, model of restricted category helicopters in U.S. history and U.S. civilian operations. The Huey continues to be a stable and civil restricted category operations to this day. Although the UH-1 and the H-3s and the CH-54s and others remain viable platforms when maintained to a modern standard, we have entered an era of restricted category rotorcraft operations in which newer, higher performance aircraft are becoming available to civil operators. The Vietnam era Huey and Sky Cranes are still operating, but we now have the UH-60 and the CH-47s being introduced. So with that said, there are many more technical advancements, and the FAA has not made any changes to the regulations or guidance prescribing the operating limitations of these aircrafts. They remain lumped together into a restricted category, along with all of the older aircraft and decades of older regulations. So it'd be worth to talk about the certification safety standards prescribed by the FAA for civil aircraft and the armed forces to enhance the safety of U.S. military aircraft and to protect their occupants. So the goal of the paper is to initiate discussion between industry stakeholders and the FAA with the intent to clarify or amend the current guidance and regulations to allow operations that would benefit the American public and the U.S. government. The document is intended to delineate regulations and guidance of civil operators to explore the possibilities of expanding the opportunities of restricted category aircraft to operate in support of civil government agencies while remaining in compliance with FAA regulations and U.S. law. Our working group, when we meet, we want to, brainstorm. The one gentleman before me was talking about SMART goal initiatives. That's the direction we're going. We're going to pick a few that is going to work hard for restricted category operators. Such things are, contingency plans, still going FSDO to FSDO. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get when you apply for one of these. And we would like to see that more of a standard within the FSDOs on getting contingency plans approved. A lot of these modern Blackhawks and other helicopters that are restricted category are very, very safe, and we feel that they can be utilized when it's compared to some of the older standard category, S-series helicopters. So we have about 17 members on our board, and we do have some open seats. And anybody who wants to join, you just go through HI and follow the steps. And if you get your stuff in, we can maybe even get you voted on at the HAI meeting. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So are you looking more for people who operate restricted category aircraft, or are you looking for people that are operating the experimental aircraft, or what's the best fit for your working group?
We really don't have a lot of representation of experimental on the panel. It's mostly restricted category from industry and from manufacturing, but we're open to anybody who wants to join. We have a great working group of people and industry experts, and we're excited to get this white paper in, and then we're excited to see how we're going to try and work on getting some of these special purposes and operating limitations possibly upgraded or updated. These regulations are from the 60s, the late 50s and early 60s, and it is 2022 right now, and we need to get some change.
Sounds good. Looks like your meeting is scheduled for March 9th from 9 to 11 a.m. Unfortunately, I don't have the room in front of me, but I'm sure that it's available in the program guide or in the app. So do appreciate your time this afternoon, Dave. We'll look forward to bringing you back for the question and answer session.
All right, thank you very much.
We will let one Dave go and bring in Dave Zura from Colorado Heliops to talk about safety. David, thanks for joining us again today. I know you've been with us before, and we appreciate your taking the time to join.
Thanks very much.
I think you in the safety group, you guys are going to be awfully busy. I think I've seen just one or two things about safety for this show. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a lot of activities for the Expo, and so yeah, we're very excited to be attending the Expo and engage with operators and other industry or HAI members on safety topics and share ideas, all those things that are so important in enhancing the safety of the industry. And so we look forward to that. Or if you're interested in attending our meeting, I'll start out with that. It's going to be on Wednesday, March 9th at 8 a.m. in room D, Delta 163. You're welcome to join us. We are seeking new members, although yeah, right now we do have a fairly strong membership, but we are especially looking forward membership to represent the international side of HAI, and we right now have mostly folks in the U.S., and so that's one of our goals actually, is to expand the international representation to assist in that sharing of information for the betterment of everybody. So with that, I'll get into some of our working goals of the working group. And then following that, we'll get into the specifics of our Heli Expo activities. And so in addition to trying to increase the international participation in the group, we're also active in basically providing liaisons and assistance to some of the other working groups. And so right now, some of the working groups internally that we have liaisons and relationships with, the UPAC working group, UAS working group, flight ops insurance sub-working group, the training working group, and tour operators working group. We provide assistance and information when those working groups have safety specific, and others, when they have safety specific needs, then we try to lend our expertise since it's not segment specific. And so that's one of our goals, is to continue to seek out and find ways to contribute to these other groups. And so far, we also work closely with the NBAA to make sure that our initiatives are aligned and find opportunity for overlap there, or if there is overlap, where we can contribute on both sides. We also provide quite a bit of content to HAI, safety content. And so we do that through scripts, the Spotlight on Safety videos, and other formats. And so that's one of our goals, is to continue to provide that information. One of the ways we'll be doing it again this year at the Expo is to have a video recording booth. And so I'll talk more about that, but ultimately the public and safety working group members are really encouraged to come by the video booth and share any story or information that maybe some sort of any safety related knowledge that you want to share with the industry. It's a way to get it out there. And we try to reward people for sharing that information because that content and information is so valuable to all the other members. And video is just one way that's actively engaging, and people enjoy to take information in that way. One of our other goals is to gather info and data to basically help in assisting to reduce the accidents in the personal, private, and agricultural segments of the industry. And so if you're familiar with the statistics, those segments of the industry have been trending over the past few years still as the highest percentages of accidents. And so there's a lot of opportunity to work in those industries from a safety working group to get involved. And so we're working with the National Agricultural Aviation Association to get representation on the working group to increase sharing of resources. We're also working with them to basically create lists of operators who are seeking out safety resources so that we can coordinate and provide that to them. And then we have specific goals with respect to the personal and private segment of the industry, having to do with owners groups, manufacturers, and working with insurance providers to try to find the best ways to bring accident rates down in those segments. So that's a major goal at this time. We work closely with the USHST, and so we have regular participation in the webinars and provision of the all hands meetings for the USHST, and we also work to emphasize and work on the helicopter safety enhancements, which is one of the primary ways that the USHST works to reduce accidents, is by these targeted enhancements. And so we'll be putting emphasis on a few of those during our Expo educational presentations. And then we are working to develop a mentorship program. HAI is pushing out or they're rolling out, I should say, a great new safety management system program. And it's going to have a tiered system that allows operators of all different scales to partake in this program and develop an SMS that works for their operation and their size of a business. And so we have a lot of SMS experts from all different backgrounds on the working group, and those will be, we're creating a mentorship program to make them available to operators who are going to take part in this program. And we really look forward to helping facilitate SMS rollout in more operators, especially as the FAA looks to make that potentially regulatory at all different scales and sizes. So in addition to those goals, as Dan mentioned, we're really heavily involved in the education and activity side of the Heli Expo. And so this year, we always are tasked with presenting, or I should say facilitating and staffing the rotor safety zone, which is the large booth kind of sponsored by HAI to promote safety. And this year we're thrilled to have a helicopter in the booth that will bring a new level of interaction and safety promotion. And we really encourage everybody to stop by. And so the helicopter will be there to help promote education on transitions between make and models, safety equipment installed in aircraft, walk around and pre-flight inspection habits and best practices. And so we really look forward to working with all the membership in increasing awareness on those items. And we'll also have, as I mentioned, the video recording booth. And so we'll have just to plug that, we'll have a $250 gift card raffle for anybody who comes by and shares any sort of story that they think would be beneficial to others. You know, you don't have to be an expert. We have teleprompter and even really a lot of expert editing that goes on to make anybody's knowledge can be presented and really look good. You don't have to be experienced at all. So anybody who's interested in doing that, please come see us. We'll also be hosting the Safety Symposium, which kicks off the Expo on Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. We'll have numerous industry peers that'll be sharing their experiences in hazardous situations like UIMC, what they learned from it. It'll be followed by a Q&A, which I think will be really engaging and gripping for those who attend. And we're having a safety directors forum. That'll be Monday at 11 o'clock. And that will be hosted, or the key speaker will be the Vice President of Safety and Quality at PHI. And we'll also have safety directors from smaller operators to get a big, wide perspective on innovative ways to reduce accidents and promote safety in your operation. We also host the Safety Town Hall, which will be on Wednesday, March 9th at 9:30 a.m. And we will be hosting the keynote speaker being Dr. Amy Grubb, who is an internationally renowned speaker. And she'll be she'll be speaking and then hosting a discussion on safety related topics, which is really not to be missed. She presents in all different formats and industries and is really popular. And we'll have 4 Rotor Safety Challenge presentations. If you engage in the Rotor Safety Challenge, you may check these out. The Safety Ignited is focusing on FDM. It's called Know Your Flight Data, Know Your Risk. And you can join if you're interested in learning more about FDM, how it can benefit your operation. Maintaining insurability in a challenging market is another one that will be taking place. Both of those are on Tuesday. And then we'll be putting on a maintenance related best practices presentation called Got Safety Tools. That'll be Tuesday at 1 p.m. And so that sums up all of the activities we'll be doing at the Expo. You can find them all in the app, as has been previously mentioned. And if you're interested in joining the working group or you have something to share, even if you want to come by the booth and share some information with us or ask questions, we'd love to talk with you. And if you're interested in joining as a member, of course, come see us at our meeting on March 9th, Wednesday at 8 a.m. And we look forward to seeing everybody.
Thanks, David. That video booth, I've seen some of the videos from past years, and that just is so powerful. Getting the firsthand accounts of what people encountered and what they learned from it. And that's one of the great things that I've encountered on our webinars. I see the same thing. People are willing to share their knowledge and experience for the betterment of the industry. So do appreciate it and look forward to seeing the results from this year's Safety Zone. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to bring up Michael Broderick with the Technical and Maintenance Working Group. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Do appreciate that you took the time out of your schedule.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you, Dan. And thank you, Jim, for those wonderful words about the working groups. It's nice to know that everybody recognizes what we do as volunteers. Also, everybody's talking about their weather, how wonderful it is. I'm a Calzonian. I just moved here from California to Arizona, and we too had a cold day. It was 39, not 93, 39. So it does get cold in Arizona. I'm the newly elected chairman of the Technical and Maintenance Working Committee, taking Don Lambert, that silver-tongued devil who convinced me that I could take his place, running as the chairman of that committee. And it's going to be tough to fill his shoes. He's did a wonderful job for the last, I believe 4 years. We will have our meeting on March 7th at 10:30. The room is TBA. Dan, if you happen to know it, I would appreciate it. I haven't been able to find out what room we're in yet. So if you can.
I don't know yet, Michael. I'll see if I can locate it, but I'm not finding the information either. So I would recommend the program guide or the app.
Okay, we'll find it. But anyway, we'll be there from 10:30. And there's a couple of projects that we're going to be discussing. One of them is, everybody knows, we lost Harold Summers last year. or this year, and Zach Noble has agreed to step in and be our representative with the board. And Zach, I know, will do a wonderful job, and I welcome him to join us on in the working group. But one of the things that as a group we want to do is find a way that we can honor Harold's legacy to the HAI, and not only to the global helicopter community. We've come up with some ideas. We're going to make recommendations to the board that there will be a way that we can honor his legacy. That's one of the things that we're going to discuss. But the major point of what we're going to be attempting to do is find a way to fill the shoes of all of us gray-haired or loss of hair mechanics that have reached the age. You know, we're one of the time-controlled items that work on helicopters, and it's getting to the point where it's serious business. There's a global shortage of A&P mechanics, but the unfortunate thing is we are a pretty small group within that mechanic group. I've done some research, excuse me, and I'm hoping that we can become a little more aggressive in trying to recruit people to join us. Let me go through a few of the things that we're talking about. And I put together a PowerPoint slides for this in case I have to present to a group. But the future for the A&P technicians, the outlook for the future group is bleak. The industry is facing a global demand of 769,000 A&Ps by 2038. That's an estimate out of Boeing aircraft. The US will need 193,000 mechanics by then. Currently, we have 67,910, so we're a little short. The average age of the A&P within that group is 30 to 50 years old, with 20% at the age of 64, which means that about 35% of the group is going to be retiring within the next 2 to 5 years. New mechanics make up 2%, and that's a sad number, 2% of the total, and more are retiring than entering the industry. In 2020, the FAA issued 30% fewer A&P certificates. And although the A&P population is expected to increase by 13% over the next 20 years, there's still going to be a shortfall of about 12,000 technicians by the year 2041. As for the helicopter A&P group, there's approximately 3,500 helicopter A&P technicians in the US. And that is a number that I kind of ferreted out of all of the information that I could gather about helicopter operations, operators, and the number that I know. This is based on the number of US active commercial, state, and municipal helicopter operations. Again, the average age in this group is about 53, with 25% at 64. And so that puts, again, more people retiring out than coming in. Approximately 1 in 5 new A&P graduates choose the helicopter industry. That is from a survey of some of the schools that I got a chance to talk with. The reason being is the helicopter industry is a little more difficult to enter as an inexperienced A&P. Training time required to become a proficient mechanic is protracted compared to the training required for fixed wing technician. And of course, based upon compensation for new A&Ps is far below that of fixed wing. A lot of the new mechanics getting started are anywhere from the $15 to the $20 range, versus the fixed wing and especially the airlines starting at somewhere between $37 and $45. That puts us at a distinct disadvantage. Competition for the A&P technician is intense. It's global, as I said. The air carriers are actively involved in recruiting programs at Part 147 schools, even in the high schools, working with the FAA to update the 147 curriculum. Believe it or not, the last time that test was updated and changed was in 1962. That's back when I was in high school. That shows you how long ago that was. Aviation Technician Education Council. That's a council that has been around, and they have begun a program at the high school level called Choose Aerospace. I became a member of that advisory committee. There's 25 members on that advisory committee. And believe it or not, of all the members that are there, there's only one single representative from the helicopter industry. That's me. We're fighting for our life here with all the other industries choosing the, getting the cream of the crop. Competition for A&P technicians is not only in the aerospace, but it's outside, aerospace. Outside the aerospace, the auto industry, especially in organized racing, loves to go to the A&P schools and snag those mechanics because they're well trained and disciplined, and that's what they like about them. The high-end auto dealerships, the Porsches, Lexus, Audis, all want, again, A&P mechanics because of the training that they get in the basics of being a mechanic. And believe it or not, theme parks like the quality of the mechanic coming out of the A&P schools. The aerospace competitors for the A&P are the air carriers, the large corporate, general aviation, OEM, ancillary equipment manufacturers. And the other industry that's coming in and is in desperate need of an organized maintenance program is the SUAS and UAS industry that is exploding all around us. There's over 2 million the small UASs flying around, and they are being used every day. They're going beyond just mom and pop buying them and giving them to the kids. They are becoming a big part of our industry, and maintenance is becoming a big part of that industry. So there is an aggressive push for the unmanned urban transportation with UAS vehicles, and the rotorcraft industry is behind the power curve when it comes to the recruitment scuffle. That is the program that we're going to be discussing. We're going to try and come up with some ideas again to present to the board that we might do to approach the high school level and also the 147 schools with an enticement to at least consider joining the rotorcraft mechanics. Part of it's going to be a little bit of romanticism about the fun days we've all had if you've been an A&P technician out in the field, working on helicopters that have gone out for fire contracts or are doing lift work, and it's an exciting job, and this is what we need to do to promote it to those just coming into the industry. Yeah, with that, I think we have about a dozen members. We're always looking for new members, technicians, or people that are involved in the maintenance side of it. With anybody that would like to join us and help us in our cause, you're welcome to come aboard. As soon as I find out the room, I'll let you all know. And Dan, I think that's about it. I don't have much more to say.
Well, I think you covered quite a bit, Michael, and we appreciate your time. We'll bring you back up for the question and answer. Did appreciate your kind words about Harold Summers. Obviously, he was a huge presence in our industry, and he is still missed. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
I'd like to go ahead and invite Terry Palmer to come on now. Terry Palmer is with is the chair of the training working group and is no stranger to the HAI at Work webinars. Welcome back, Terry.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks for the great words from Jim on what the working groups are doing. We have such a wonderful working group. I mean, dedicated people that are really working hard in the training sector. Training touches every part of the industry. So we work with all the working groups, especially the safety working group, on different things involving training. Everything that training does has a safety component. So we work very closely with them and also with the International Helicopter Safety Team on some of their requirements. What we are doing is looking at training from all levels. We look at the student pilot, we look at the flight schools, we look at the maintenance schools. So it's not just pilots, it's also maintenance. And then we look at the training requirements to stay in the industry. There are so many training requirements that are mission specific or operation specific or environment specific that really require extra help. The training working group has put a lot of resources together to look at, we put out a white paper that was just published on inadvertent IMC that has incredible material in it. So if you're interested in anything to do with inadvertent IMC, we've got everything that you could possibly think of in this document. We are an international group, so this has international parts to it, that it's not just for North America, it's for everyone. So if you look at that, you'll see that there's some great resources in there. Some of our members, Scott Boughton and myself, and several of the others have written articles on some of these subjects. We present regularly at events throughout the industry, and we have work groups that work with different areas that have seminars and anything to do with the public, any kind of public outreach programs. We try to do as much as possible that we can in those sectors. The working group is awesome. We cover everything from insurance to training requirements to commercial operations to industry specific needs. Everything that you can possibly think of. We're looking for new members. I know I'm rushing a little bit, but I know that we're a little short on time here. So I want to make sure we cover that. We have a great meeting coming up at Heli Expo. We meet on a monthly basis on Zoom or some sort of media program. We meet on a monthly basis, and then and we stagger our times for the international members. But we also have our face-to-face meeting at Heli Expo. And this year we're so excited because we're going to have a town hall meeting, in the same way that safety has always had a town hall meeting. Training is having a town hall meeting to talk about inadvertent IMC and some of the challenges that we're going through, whether it's a flight school, a training facility that has simulation, or any commercial operation that's looking for specific training. We're going to cover all of that. What are the needs of the industry and what can we do to help? Where do we need to focus our resources, and what can we do? We also help HAI by providing material for the training academy that HAI provides online for some of the webinars and other of the functions that the training academy has. We try to look at some of the courses and update them and help them with subject matter experts that can make things just a little bit better. So we're looking for new members. We're real excited if you'll join us. We're real excited if you'll bring us your training questions, any challenges that you're facing in training. As we just heard, there's a shortage of mechanics. There is a shortage of pilots. Everybody needs to be trained, and training is perishable. All the skills are perishable. So you need to be able to train on an ongoing basis. And we look at all of that. We'd love to have you join us and bring your ideas, bring your questions, bring your answers. And we look forward to seeing you all at Heli Expo.
Thanks, Terry. Now, looks like the training working group I show on online was March 8th from 1 to 3. Was that correct? Or do you know?
Well, we have 2 events on Tuesday, and I didn't see them both listed. We have the training working group meeting followed by the town hall meeting.
Okay,
So,
great.
But I think there's a typo there right now on the schedule.
Got it. We can take care of, take a look at that and make sure that we get that corrected. The program guide probably will have the correct information. I know the new app will. It should be available again next week. So thank you, Terry. Look forward to talking with you again here just very shortly. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
And now I'd like to have Ron Stewart to join us from Wilson Construction and the chair of the Utilities Patrol and Construction Working Group. Ron, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I just listening to everyone's comments, about some of the shortages and things. It just really I think that is a much bigger issue for all of us than what we may even realize. We're, I think, as a industry, looking at those issues across the board, mechanics, pilots, it really is something that I think we all need to be paying close attention to. But specific to UPAC, you know, I was newly elected this last year, and so I'm just kind of trying to get set up as far as how these how the meetings are going to be run. But I do have some big shoes to fill. Jeff Johnson's been the chairman now for, boy, I think over 6 years. So UPAC has been historically a very active group. I believe we've got, well, I don't know what the last count was, but I think over 60 members. We have got up to where we meet about 3 times a year. This last year or so has been quite a bit different due to the COVID restrictions, but
Looks like Ron might have froze.
really
There you
overall,
go.
this committee has been.
Sorry, Ron, you froze up for just a
Did I drop
second.
out?
Yep,
Okay, how about now?
you're good now.
Okay, all right. Well, so I was saying, you know, just the level of commitment on, you know, behalf of all of the professionals in UPAC has just been really impressive. Over the years, we've come together, we've developed the UPAC guide, which really has become an industry standard, globally recognized in terms of standardization of a lot of the different tasks that we do in this industry. The work on our national infrastructure for power grid has just, you know, I mean, over the years, been a lot of things that have been developed. We've been through, you know, the platform work, you know, of course, patrols. We've been working through all of the components of human external cargo. You know, it's just the list of things that we've worked through on this committee has really been impressive, and the long-term commitment from people in this group. So it's just to be commended by, I mean, I'm really pretty humbled to have been, you know, brought in to chair this committee, because you know, I hardly see myself as a leading expert in this industry, given, you know, the talent and the people that are part of this group. So I think coming up, some of our big challenges that we're going to be facing is, of course, ongoing issues with revolving around regulation specific to HEC. Or human external cargo. I think that's an issue that I feel like has gone on way too long. We're trying to finalize some of these things and establish some of the, you know, exactly what the FAA is looking for in these things. But coming up at this next meeting, we're going to be diving into some of the additional equipment, specifically long lines, you know, some of our equipment that we use in the industry, what some of our failure points are. We've done a lot of destructive testing of this equipment, and sharing some of the results of those things, I think will be really interesting to take a look at. Human performance was really one of the big additions to our UPAC guide. Really, we came out with that, I guess, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We're going to be circling back on that human performance part of things, and really diving into decision making. There's just so many things that revolve around, you know, the decisions that are being made by these pilots and mechanics all day long, and interacting with utility patrolmen and power linemen. And I think, you know, helping our crews to understand where those pressures come from, how some of our decisions are being made, how we're assessing our risk. You know, those are things that are massive points that we're going to be trying to dive into and really analyze. How do we better help our crews out there assess risk? And that's going to be some of the big things that we're going to be tackling coming up. Of course, reviewing some of our accidents and incidents. You know, there's been some really interesting things that have occurred in our industry and patrols, and as far as some near misses. Boy, within our utility world, it's a lot of things are changing constantly, and it's been a challenge to stay out in front and keep some of these topics front on everybody's mind and get everybody looking at what some of the remedies are, some of the training that needs to be conducted, because it's just a constant moving target, I think, as far as the utilities go, and dealing with the different organizations nationally, the utility operators and their demands and environmental concerns. And so we have a full plate, and we look for any assistance. I'm definitely going to be tapping into some of the other committees and looking for help as far as, you know, the cross-referencing between our groups, getting expertise brought across in restricted category, definitely with safety and training. So I think there's a lot of knowledge that can be shared between our groups that really would benefit us all. So our meeting is going to be held, when is it here? It's Tuesday, the 8th, 2 to 4. And, you know, we welcome anybody that wants to come participate and become part of things. I'm definitely looking for, you know, new ideas and anybody that wants to come be part of things. So that's really all I have for you.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Ron. Look forward to hearing how things go with your meetings and how things progress within the industry. Now I'd like to go ahead and ask Cary and David and Michael and Terry to go ahead and bring your cameras back up. We do have just a couple of questions. We'll see if anything else pops up real quick. We are a little tight on time, but certainly appreciate everybody's time.
Hi, Dan.
Yes.
Dan,
Oh.
this is Ricarda.
Oh, okay. Hey, Ricarda, I apologize. Maybe we can get you to turn your camera on and we'll get you to give a briefing real quick.
My camera doesn't seem to be working. I'll
Okay.
try.
Not a problem.
It doesn't seem to be going on.
Okay, well, we can just do an audio. For the rest of you, that just turn your cameras on. Please go ahead and mute your cameras, and we'll let Ricarda talk about what's going on with the let's see, the
Vertical.
Yeah, I knew it used to be the heliport. Now it's the vertical
Right.
flights infrastructure sub-working group.
Yeah,
So
yeah, infrastructure.
exactly. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a
Thank you so
mouthful.
much for joining us, Ricarda. Please go ahead and tell us what you have planned for Heli Expo.
Okay, well, every flight begins and ends with a landing and a takeoff. So, and they usually are from heliports, if not airports. So what's happening, we're going to report on the FAA is coming out with a revised advisory circular for heliport design. And they've been working on it for a couple of years, and allegedly they're going to come out with the final probably sometime in March or April. So we will be holding classes on that and the interpretation of the new advisory circular. Also, we commented on NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection. They have a section called NFPA 418, and we are going to be commenting, or we have commented already. They're going through a change of their regulations, and so we comment on that. We are also very much interested in the advanced air mobility industry, and we'll have speakers on that. But we're working with the FAA on a design criteria for these vertiports, if you will. And so that's something that the FAA's promised to come out with an engineering brief. And actually, they're going to have a class on it at the Heli Expo. And it's called an industry day. And we're going to be commenting on that too. We haven't seen the industry brief, or excuse me, we haven't seen the brief yet. So we haven't made comments. And then also we keep abreast of the ICAO guidelines. They are like the guidelines for heliport design in the EU. And we do different seminars over the year to, for instance, we're interested in the wind issues on high-rise buildings and the effects on heliports. So that's what we would be discussing.
Okay, Ricardo, do you happen to know what time your meeting is for the vertical infrastructure? Not the special symposium, but just your sub-working group, or do you
It
have a
would be
meeting
on
yourself?
Wednesday, the 9th, and we're a subgroup to flight operations. And it says on the program 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., but I've heard that it's been extended till 6 p.m. In other words, we have the room until later. So what we're supposed to do is that they will make a presentation about what flight ops has been doing. And another subgroup in that flight ops is called insurance. And they're going to make a presentation. And then after that, we would have our presentation. And we invite the public to come. And we will not get too much into the weeds, but we'd like to get some information, feedback from the public on what they're interested in.
Well, absolutely. And as you indicated, the role of infrastructure and advanced air mobility is going to be a huge part of bringing this into the public. We know that the general public, likes the idea of flying portal to portal or hub to hub or whatever, but we'll need the infrastructure to support all that. And so that role, I understand, is going to be significant. So we look forward to hearing how that goes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I would invite the chairs and vice chairs to go ahead and bring your cameras back on. Sorry about that. It was a bit premature a few minutes ago. Cary, let's start with a question for you. Has there been an increase in IIMC events for air medical?
One of the things we found, and it's actually anecdotal, but we found that the IIMC training has actually gone pretty good in our industry, so that with the increase in stabilization systems on aircraft, pilots have become better able to deal with an IIMC event. And what we found from just talking with the major operators is that rather than turning around, they're just going into the clouds and recovering with an approach, which certainly could be done safely, but they're doing it in an emergency situation. And so one of the things that we are addressing, and Terry may speak to this too, with the training group, is that want to emphasize and come out with recommendations on decision points and where people should be turning around as opposed to continuing on, even if you've got the equipment to be able to handle an IIMC event.
Yes,
Okay.
and our the white paper that we put out is pretty extensive, and we're sharing it with the Air Medical Working Group. Zach asked me to make sure that you got it. The information in there is definitely what you're looking for, including, how to judge distance. You know what your limitations are, but how do you judge that distance? Do you really have 4 miles visibility or whatever? That's the kind of thing that we have available in our resources. So we're very happy to work with you on that. And it's really important that we all train to that.
story.
I like the fact that there's sharing between the working groups, not only with, between the working groups and the industry, but within as well. It works out so well. Michael, you had mentioned the outlook for A&Ps right now is kind of bleak, but doesn't that also make great opportunities for, say, advancement and pay raises for people who do get into the industry, who can then help to share that information with friends and family, people who might want to get into turning wrenches?
It does. It presents some good opportunities. The one thing that I've noticed, and I've done this a couple of times throughout my career, is figure out just the actual size of the operations, the helicopter operations. Believe it or not, if you take the number of known helicopter companies divided into the number of helicopters that are registered and flying commercially, you come up with about 2.5 helicopters per operation. And that includes, that's the big municipalities, that's, including the PHIs, that's everybody all thrown into the same bucket. That puts it at about maybe 2 pilots per operator and maybe 1 mechanic per operator. What I'm saying is you're dealing with a bunch of small businesses. These are small businesses that are struggling to keep their lights on. And so their ability to offer some of the same benefits that the large airlines can offer are kind of, they're shackled by that. And the way that they can perhaps increase their offerings for mechanics would be if the industry allowed them to charge more for their services. And we are a big, the helicopter industry is a big group of people that does not want to, it seems as though they don't want to charge as much as they possibly should for their operations. They're competitive, so they don't maybe charge enough, which causes them to hold back on what the pay scale is.
Michael, I think I need to pull back. I don't want to get into any of the antitrust concerns. I know that that's not the intention you had, but anytime we start talking costs, I start getting nervous because I don't want lawyers to come, ringing my doorbell or anything like that. So, but I think I've got time for one more question. I do apologize. We've run out of time. I wanted to ask Dave Zurich about the safety zone, and I understand you guys have a virtual reality device there. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I know that really is being hosted by the USHST, but we'll be sharing the safety zone. I'm glad you brought it up. Is going to be not just the HAI Safety Working Group and the USHST, but other agencies as well. If you have anything safety related whatsoever, then that's your one-stop shop. And they will have multiple simulators that I understand are virtual reality. And again, the USHST is going to be hosting that, but they'll be providing scenarios for folks to go in, experience unintended IMC scenarios in those virtual reality simulators, and hopefully everybody can come away with a new perspective on, or a different perspective, I should say, on the best practices in all those situations.
Wow, that sounds pretty intense. I look forward to giving that a try myself as a non-pilot. So, well, Chuck, David, Cary, David, Michael, Ron, and Terry, and Ricarda, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Obviously, Heli Expo is coming up next week, and I know that you folks are all busy, and so I can't tell you how grateful I am that you were able to join us today. Jim was right. You guys are just amazing folk, and we offer our deepest appreciation. Jim, you came in as Jasmine. Would you like to say anything in closing?
Jasmine, yes. No, great information today. I look forward to seeing everybody in Dallas. So be safe and see you in Dallas.
Okay, thank you all. Go ahead and mute your cameras, turn off if you want to leave the webinar. I've got just a few things for housekeeping that I still need to wrap up on.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Dan,
Yes.
Ricarda,
Yes.
can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Are they going to have an affiliates meeting, where the different, I guess, groups out there in HAI land have met together. I think Matt Zaccaro started it. It was called an affiliates meeting. Like the PHPA, or now they're called SOCRA, Southern California Helicopter Rotorcraft Association. And somebody from, the different countries would get together.
I am aware of that event. Chris Martino, I believe, is maybe still online. Chris, are you here?
Chris, Dan, there's a global leadership forum on Wednesday. I recommend everybody listening in or on the recording or today, just check out the full schedule that posts all of the publicly available events. It's very comprehensive, and we wouldn't want to push anybody in the wrong direction. Go ahead and choose your adventure through that menu.
Thanks, Chris. Great advice.
So
Okay.
What is this? Where am I supposed to look?
heliexpo.org.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you, Ricarda. Thanks again, everybody. Just to wrap up for next week, we do not have a webinar next week. It's so close to Heli Expo that we will not have time to prepare a webinar. We do encourage you to come in on March 4th and 5th. Check out our social media channels. We will be live streaming the fly-in. We don't expect people to watch all day long. There's gonna be a lot of downtime when they're moving aircraft, but maybe come in while you're having lunch. Enjoy lunch and see what helicopters are coming in. It's really kind of like our own private air show. March 10th, same thing. That's the day the aircraft fly out. We won't have a webinar. March 17th, we will be talking about infrastructure again and low altitude route infrastructure, specifically, obviously, for helicopters and advanced air mobility. We do have a follow-up questionnaire coming very shortly. We would appreciate it if you could take just a few minutes and share your thoughts with us. I do pay attention to this, particularly the suggestions for upcoming webinars. That's actually one of the reasons we're holding this webinar today, was people had asked about what the working groups were doing. Let us know what worked and what didn't work. Same goes with HAI. We are always encouraging you to tell us what HAI can do better, what that you've appreciated we have done, and if there's anything that we might try to add to our list of things to do. Best way to do that is to send Jim Viola an email at president@rotor.org. He does read all those emails. He does assign those to staff for tasking as necessary. That does conclude our webinar today. We do appreciate that everybody took the time. We appreciate our panelists for sharing their knowledge and expertise with the industry. And we appreciate that you took the time out of your schedule to join us to watch today. Until next time, we appreciate it. Please be safe and fly safe.